Hello, everybody. My name is Chris, and welcome to the East Whittier Middle School Instrumental Music Program House of Horror YouTube channel. I'm joined today with Alyssa Gonzalez. Alyssa offers a unique perspective. She's actually the only person that has kind of gone, is continuing to help with the House of Horror, that has actually been through the program as a student and has continued to return year after year, even after graduating from East Whittier, to continue to help with the program. So Alyssa, if you want to say hi to everybody.
Hi, everyone.
All right, so the first question I want to ask you is, how did you first get involved with the HOH? What year was that, and why did you want to get involved?
Yeah, so I believe I went into it the first year that HOH even started. So I think it was either 2011 or 2012. So I was involved because of the music program, Ms. Carnahan's music program, EWMS, and it was great. It was so much fun. I mean, I come back every single year, but it started with the music program. I remember Ms. Carnahan, specifically I don't know if it was PTA of the music program itself, they wanted to start this whole entire new fundraising idea. So they decided to go with the haunted or HOH. And I saw signups and I was like, let's just give it a try. So I believe it was 2011 or 12, one of those two.
So was the HOH already established already? Like, did you come in like the second or third year, or were you there the very first year that they started?
Yeah, I believe I was there the very first year it started.
That's pretty cool. So like, just talk a little bit about your experience just with the music program in general. So what were some of your favorite memories being involved with, not necessarily the HOH, we'll get to that later, but being involved in Ms. Carnahan's music program?
Oh man, there's so many amazing memories. To be honest, I joined the music program for like a completely different reason, and ended up changing my music life later. But I ended up joining the music program because I really liked this guy who was in there, and funny enough, I didn't even know so I specifically played the flute, and it's been now 10 years that I've been playing the flute, but it changed my perspective in so many ways. The way that I saw music, the way that I viewed music was, okay, I just turn on my radio in the car with my mom, but now I can see it so much more in a more passionate and more deeper level. But with the music program, there was so many amazing memories. I believe my first memory was specifically, we had like this icebreaker. I think we called it icebreaker. It's my 6th grade year, and it was really great. I was able to make a lot of friendships, and to this day, I still talk to so many people from the music program. And it's really awesome to see how many students that were in the music program now, seeing them now. Like now, a bunch of us are all adults, like most of us are 20, 21, and to see like where they're at specifically, like some of them did continue with music, others didn't, but just to see and go back and follow up with them is really great. So I would say some of my absolutely favorite memories with the music program was honestly just creating really great friendships.
Yeah, and I think Miss Carnahan actually still does that thing called Icebreaker. Is that where you guys kind of get together at the beginning of the year, and then you do all these like cool little games and like food there and stuff? Yeah, no, those are always like super fun. Did you guys get to go that year to like travel to like a different part of the country to go play like in a festival?
Yeah, so it was actually my 8th grade year. I believe I was 13 years old, and we went out to, our specific trip was very unique. So we actually performed in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, and our hotel was in New Jersey, but then the last day we actually went to New York. So we got to go to 3 different states.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, because like I think most of the time it's just one state or maybe 2, depending on like Chicago, they go to like Notre Dame, which is Indiana. Then so that's pretty awesome. You're able to go to 3. Well, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say it's really great because my brother, he as well was in the music program, and he's now a senior in high school, and he was able to go to Washington. So he only went to 1 state, but he had the time of his life as well.
Yeah, and you know, I think the East Whittier music program, I mean, it's such a unique program because there's really not a whole lot of middle schools out in the country that will allow students to get a top-notch, music education and being able to like travel to different parts of the country, let alone the state, to go perform. Unfortunately, with COVID, that the 8th grade trip did have to get canceled this past year. But prior to that, I mean, since I think a long time ago, Miss Carnahan's been taking her students and going on these tours,
Yeah.
playing different festivals and stuff. So, being a part of the music program, it's a really unique experience. And you kind of touched on this. You said that you made a lot of friends that you still people you talk to this day, and you're already an adult, and all the people that I'm sure you're friends with are, all adults too. And, reminiscing on that. And even like you said, taking that perspective of music, even though you're not necessarily like continuing on with music per se, but like taking that perspective and like looking at music in a different light. And I think that's really awesome, because I didn't have that experience when I was growing up. My school did not have a music program, and I wish it did, because I think that would have been something I would have liked to do. So
Yeah.
that's really awesome to hear that. Now, what are your favorite memories working the HOH? We talked a little bit about your favorite memories working, being a student at East Whittier, but what are your favorite memories of working the House of Horror from the time you started to now?
Yeah. So, and it's, I have to so I've been working with HOH for, I believe this was supposed to be my ninth year. Yeah, ninth year. So there's so many memories that I can think about. Some of my favorite ones, I would say, definitely probably my first year. It was so brand new. We didn't really know how makeup would have turned out. So it was really interesting to see how many times I had to go through Google and look up all the scary makeup effects. That was honestly one of my favorite memories, just sitting there and just being around all my friends, honestly, just trying to be this other person, scaring other kids who are my age. And honestly, just trying to break that shell. That was definitely one of my favorite memories, I think, recently. So that was when I was a student. And now recently, as an adult, this past year, last year, 2019, this past year was probably one of my favorite years. I think for myself, I've never actually had to or get a chance to interact with the line. And that was honestly really cool for me. I feel like specifically last year, I was able to do different characters with the specific wardrobe that I had. But this past year, I was able to just really interact and get more of like a conversation scaring kind of aspect, rather than people walking through the house and me trying to scare as little kids are like crouched down. But so many great memories, but those are a few.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot different, like being out and actually interacting with the crowd.
Yeah.
And it's a different type of scare. I mean, I think it's more of an entertainment factor when you're out entertaining the
Yeah.
line. That was something new that we did this past year. Well, maybe they did in the past. This is would have been my third year working the event, but that was something we wanted to implement, because one of the biggest complaints we always would get is, well, the line is too long, and
Mm.
it's boring out there. So we're like, let's put some scare actors out there to kind of entertain the line. And I thought that was, it was a pretty successful thing. The guests had a great time interacting with like some of the scare actors we had out there, including yourself. And then the scare actors got to have a good time too, because
Yeah.
that interaction piece is always, it's fun to have, and you get to be in your character, you get to interact with the crowd. So, that's awesome that was one of your favorite memories. Another thing I wanted to ask you, since you've kind of been there since pretty much the beginning, in your perspective as from a student now to an adult, how has the HOH, kind of evolved or changed since you've been there from the very beginning?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe so. Like I said, I started a while back. So as a student, it the event has changed many different ways. I think every single year we try to really hit a certain theme. And the firstly for me, I think the themes have got better each and every year. I think the ways that it has changed, for example, when I did it as a student, we didn't really have much of a time frame. So compared to now, we plan this event months in advance, I believe almost like in June or July. But back then, when I was a student, we had at least like maybe a month or two to plan. And as a student, my perspective, I feel like it was more of like, you have to scare people and go for it. But now it's more of, hey, no, we have 2 days of training for scare actors. And this is something we got to take seriously, because it's kind of like, we're trying to, like we emphasized in Scaring School last year, we have to break out of that shell. We have to act like a different person, in the sense of, if you look ridiculous, if you think you look ridiculous, you're doing it right. And I feel like when I was a student, we didn't really emphasize that. It was more of like, okay, well, this is this haunted house, do what you can. But now it's like, no, this is exactly what you should do, and look at other people, how they're doing it, and, you know, just try to copy that, resemble that. And, you know, just having that homework now. I remember these past 2 years, I believe we've had scaring school, like go home, watch scary movies, try to like be that person, practice in front of a mirror. And when I was a student, it was just like, no, just scare, try to scare, do the best you can. But now it's more emphasized in the scaring aspect.
Exactly. Yeah. And, you know, and that's just an evolution. I know, like, and the only reason why we started doing that is because I used to work in Not Scary Farm, and I remember when I first started, you know, we went through Scare School. They call this Scare School at Knott's Berry Farm. And I remember going through the Scare School, and, you know, they were teaching us things like, it wasn't even so much like how to be scary, but just how to break out of your shell, like
Yeah.
exercises of how to like embarrass yourself. You know, it's okay to you know, embarrass yourself. Like I would tell the kids, like, if you think you look silly and you feel silly, then that's a good thing. That means you're doing it right. So it wasn't
Mhm.
so much like the whole thing was, I mean, it was about like scaring techniques eventually, but that initial part of like trying to just break out of your shell. And I know, like, with students, you know, as adults, when we were doing this and we were being paid to do this for that training at Scare School, we were all like kind of shy at first. Like, oh, I don't want to, this seems weird. But then as, you know, the training went on, we kind of broke out of our shells, and then everything was good. So I'm thinking, well, with students, you know, they maybe have gone, if they're lucky, maybe they've gone to Knott's, maybe Halloween Horror Nights
Yeah.
a couple of times, maybe gone through a little home haunts every now and then, but they don't really know they found like how to actually to scare. And I thought it was cool. It would be cool. You know what if we bring in some like trained professionals that have worked Not Scary Farm before to come in and then help these kids, you know, learn how to scare by people who have actually done it before. And it's one
Yeah.
thing like for them to listen to me because I'm their teacher. So
Yeah.
it's more like, oh, it's just Mr. Moreno. But then, you know, we brought in, you know, other people that have worked in Not Scary Farm, not only in like mazes, but also in the street zones.
Yeah.
So you kind of got a different perspective of that. And the kids, I think, you know, I think they ate it up. I mean, you were there for Scare School.
Mhm.
You know, like, just they were, you know, excited. A bunch of kids showed up, and at first, you know, they were kind of hesitant and shy to kind of do some of the,
Yeah.
you know, the exercises we're having them do, but eventually they kind of got the hang of it, and they knew what we were expecting them to do. And I really like what you said earlier. You said, you know, that we're taking it seriously because, you know, we do take it seriously. We spend, the people planning, the parents, volunteers, Ms. Carnahan, we spend, you know, hundreds and hundreds of hours planning this
Yeah.
event, that this is not something that we take lightly. You know, the whole point of this is to, you know, get the proceeds from the event and to put them back into the music program. In order for us to do that, we have to make sure that our guests come through and feel satisfied that they got a quality experience, not like, oh, I just paid $5 or $6 for something that wasn't even scary. So it
Exactly.
kind of more so came about that. We wanted to provide as much of a high quality experience as possible. And I think over the years, each year has gotten better and better and better. And that's the whole point. It's all about progress. Just like
Mhm.
last year, you know, we're hoping this year we would be able to be back at it. But with COVID, you know, with that plans have changed. But it's always about trying to just push yourself.
Yeah.
What can we do better, and just improve upon that. So I appreciate you, you know, talking a little bit about the evolution of the HOH. Another thing I want to ask you is, since you've been involved, have you ever been involved with the planning process or with any of the
Mhm.
build from the HOH?
So I have never been involved with the build specifically. I have been involved in the process trying to figure things out. So there also is another scare actor who is the same age as me, and he's been doing it as a scare actor and also helping with the building process. I'm not sure if you know the Ross family, but I've known Suzanne
Oh,
Ross and
yes. Uh-huh.
yeah, the
Zach
whole,
and
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
So I've known Zach since I was in third grade. So I believe I was like, maybe 7, 8 years old, 7, 8, 8, 9, somewhere around there. And I've known them ever since I was a kid. So I've been able to help out Suzanne some way, somehow, whether that's, hey, do you need help with this? Hey, do you need help with that? Whether it's Suzanne or just other students in general, with scaring, the aspect of scaring. This past year, I know that there was a couple of new family members or parents who were it was their first year hosting a room. So I've been able to, just help out and say, hey, I've been doing this for X amount of years. Do you need help in this area? Do you need help with wardrobe? I'm here to help. Absolutely. Just to give back to this program that honestly has impacted my life so much.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So, and I remember you did a great job assisting some of the families that needed help, and I think you were involved with the, what was it? It was the mirror room, correct? You were in
Yeah.
that. Yeah. No, that was a great room. And you touched upon this a little bit, but you might want to expand a little bit on why do you continue to come back year after year, even after graduating, even high school? Why do you continue to come back year after year to help?
Yeah. So I can start off from the beginning. So in the beginning, when I was a student, I came back for like the first 2 years just because I had so many friends there, and I was like, "Yay, this is so much fun!" And then in high school, we had like the community hour service. But at this point, I used to work at a hospital, so I had all my volunteer hours done. But everyone at that specific moment, because I was in the music program as well in my high school, so many students from East Whittier came to Lucerna, and they also did the haunted house back then. So they were all talking about, hey, like they're having or not auditions, they're having sign-ups. We should all sign up. And I was like, oh, signing up, that I've done it for the past 3 years. Might as well do it again. And then since then, I kind of just did it all through high school. And now this is my third year of college, and just keep continuing to sign up. And for me, honestly, and there's a lot that plays in. Like, I love scaring. That's so much fun. But I think for me, there's a lot more of a deeper level on why I keep going back. And for me, honestly, I think I can give back in so many ways to this program that, like I mentioned, impacted my life so much. And for me, it's, I can give money, I can do this, I can do that. But, this specific fundraising program, I know that it brings a lot of money to this program. And like you even mentioned, you touched up on it, how this money, they use that money to help out with the music program, whether that's the trips, the music, anything in general for the program. I think for me, it's more of, hey, I'm giving back to the community that gave me so much. And because of Miss Carnahan, she really pushed the students to, one, break out of our shell. And that, for me, I tie that in so much with this, the HOH, how, we're trying to be this person to break out of that shell and to scare. And it was basically the same way when I was doing music. Miss Carnahan really taught us to break out of our shells and just, even if you mess up that one note, like, it's okay, keep practicing. And our specific quote, every year Miss Carnahan has these shirts, and the back of our shirts, it has a quote. And my first year was play like a champion. And for me, that meant a lot. That was really huge because I've never really had that push, especially as a younger kid, to really keep going and to keep trying. And because of Miss Carnahan's push, I was able to be in the varsity music program in high school, and I was also able to audition and be an honor band for the district for 3 years. And
Wow.
honestly, yeah, for me, it's honestly just giving back to this community. And yeah, I am older than a lot of the other kids, but I really appreciate all that Ms. Carnahan has done for me. And I'm sure a lot of other students my age, as well as Zach and a bunch of other students, we all really appreciated Ms. Carnahan. And, I think for me, the most basic thing I can do is just keep going back and keep helping out in this specific horror nights. Haunted house, yeah.
Yeah, no, I like what you said about how, it's possible to help with the program, to give money, to do all those things. But I think what you're providing is you're giving back with like your talents. Obviously, like, how much what the music program means to you, and that we do have the fundraiser, the Harvest and the HOH fundraiser. And you're not just giving back by writing a check and here you go, here's which, I mean, we could all do that, but you're giving back with your time. And I think giving back with your time it's such a big sacrifice because, you're a college student, you have college classes, and I'm sure you have other things going on. And so, giving back with your time. So another question I want to ask you is, what do you like about scare acting? I mean, you haven't done it you've done it for a while. What is it you like about scare acting?
Yeah, so for me, I've been acting ever since I was a little kid. My parents call me the most dramatic person ever. And I think scare acting for me, like kind of how I've touched up on it, it makes me feel like I'm really breaking out of this shell. And I think for me, I used to be this shy little girl who didn't want to talk to anyone, but this specific event makes me feel like, hey, I can be this completely different person and, not be judged in a sense. For example, like, you watch a movie, there's a character in like this, I don't know, romance movie, comedy, drama, there's this character and people don't usually like them, like, but for this specific program, I feel like I can really be this person that I'm not going to feel judged by, whether, because it's me just trying to scare or it's me trying to like entertain. And personally, I've never really felt like I've been judged in any way, just being this kind of scare actor. So for me, I really just really like the aspect of, I guess, live, I kind of want to say live scaring, not really like on a TV, but there's a couple of different reasons why I really personally like scaring, but I would say the top one would definitely be, just me being this different person and just breaking out of my shell. And I feel like that's something that I've always struggled with as a kid, just breaking out of that shell and just, I guess, learning how to be uncomfortable, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I know a lot of Scary Farm actors, I worked there for a little bit, and it's funny, like you would think that a lot of scare actors are actually like super high energy, like theater type of people. And there
Yeah.
are some of those, but so many scare actors are actually the opposite. Like I'm more of an introvert. I'm
Yeah.
more natural. I'm more of a natural introvert. I like, like my alone time, and, and I'm kind of can be shy at times, but when it comes to like scare acting, once I put on that costume or put on that mask or put on makeup, I feel like I can become like a different person. And I think that's
Yeah.
kind of the appeal of like being a scare actor, right? Like you get to be somebody else. And even if it's for not a long period of time, just being somebody else, getting into another character and just like feeling that accomplishment that you did something that went outside your comfort zone. You
Exactly.
kind of touched upon that earlier, and that's kind of like what the scare acting like meant for you, that it's more than just like scaring people, but it's like getting out of your breaking out of your shell and try to do something that makes you feel uncomfortable, and that's how you grow, right? I mean, that's just
Yeah.
in all aspects of life, right? You're scared of something, like, oh, should I go for this promotion, or should I do this or that, and you're like, you know what, I'm just going to go for it, and whatever happens happens.
Yeah.
And like in scare acting, sometimes, and you know about this, sometimes you get a good scare and sometimes you don't, right? And oftentimes, most of the time, more often than not, you don't get the good scares. You get uh, people are like, oh, that's not scary. But then when you get that one scare, that second good scare, it just makes it all worth it.
Yeah.
Super cool. Now, are you planning at some point, we talked about this, I think personally before, but are you planning at some point of trying to work for more of a, like a professional haunt at some point, like a Halloween Horror Nights or a Not Scary Farm?
Yeah, so personally for me, this was actually going to be the year that I was going to audition for Not Scary Farm. Uh, but funny enough, when we did acting or the haunted house last year, I met so many awesome adult actors that were part of Nods, and they were just explaining their whole story. And I remember specifically this one guy named Royce, and he told me that he has training before auditions, and I was like, absolutely, I would love to come to these trainings because this year I really wanted to get into Not Scary Farm, and unfortunately, it didn't happen because of COVID, but I'm hoping within these next couple of years I can go back to Knots. And I specifically chose Knots because at least from the experiences that my friends have told me about, because I also work at Disneyland, and I specifically work with entertainment, and all the entertainment people, I mean, most of them are like theater kids, but a lot of other people aren't. And a lot of them have worked for Knots, Horror Nights, Six Flags, and I've always came back to specifically Knots because I've heard that Haunted Horror Nights, they give you this certain script that you have to like touch up on. And I personally, it's not really my thing specifically because for me, like from what I've heard, Knots doesn't give you a script. Of course you have that scaring school, that technique and all that stuff they show you. But for me, when I scare, it's more of what I'm thinking about. Like if I see a kid with like a bright green shirt, like I'll somehow, resemble that shirt and like talk to him about it, in a scaring aspect. But I wasn't really a big fan of me having to go based off the certain script. But hopefully in the next couple of years, I should hopefully audition for Knots.
Yeah, hopefully all this kind of blows over soon, and once things are safe. But yeah, I mean, I think me personally, I'm biased, I'm wearing my Knott's Scary Farm shirt. I mean, I love Not Scary Farm. I mean, that's you know, that was the first like major haunt that I ever went to. You know, it's the granddaddy of them all. It's the
Yeah.
place that like scare acting originated from, and you know, just I love the creativity. And I do agree with you said that it's true that Not Scary Farm, they let you kind of be free to do what you want with the character, even if you work in a maze where, and when you're in a maze, you have a specific role and they want you to you know, this is your character and this is like the parameters of your character, but they really let you kind of make that character your own and
Yeah.
make it unique to you. And especially if you're in a street zone, I mean, there, like, I mean, you can, some people are able to make up their own characters, you know, once they've
Yeah.
been in streets for a year or two, they can propose an idea and say, hey, I have a cool idea for Carnival. I have a cool idea for Ghost Town. I have a cool idea for the Hollows. And then you propose the idea. You can give a little backstory about who your character is and why they behave a certain way. And a lot of times they'll go for it. And that's what the one thing about Knots is that they do a great job of really trying to allow you to be creative because they want you to feel ownership of your character.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, definitely looking forward to it. If you work at Knots, you know, that'd be awesome. So we're able to say, hey, we have somebody from the East Whittier, you know, music program that became a Not Scary Farm scare actor. So that'd be super cool.
That'd be so awesome.
That'd be awesome. And then what are some tips that, since you've been doing scare acting for a while, what are some tips you would give our younger scare actors out there?
Oh yeah. We hear this all the time in scaring school, but personally, if you feel like you're doing it wrong, or if you feel like you look ridiculous, if you feel like you look silly, if you feel embarrassed in front of your friends, for one, embarrassed, it's fine. And for two, if you feel like you're doing it ridiculous, silly, if you feel like you look that way, you're doing it right. And I say that because I remember being in 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, like still so shy. I saw my friends coming through these mazes and they would yell out my name and I'm trying to not talk to them, trying to be this other person. And in my mind, I was embarrassed to act like this whole completely different person. But at the end of the day, you know, this is something that you committed to. And, you know, I would say that you committed to it. Now, yeah, you might get made fun of in not elementary school, in middle school, you might get made fun of by your friends, but it's fine because, and for me, I've always said, you know, just have fun with your character. Like, yeah, sure, you might have this face full of makeup and you might not feel the most attractive or you might not feel like the best version of yourself, but, you know, just have fun because at the end of the day, you know, we're helping out this music program that has helped, I'm sure 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade has helped you out in some way. So I would definitely say have fun and, you know, just don't be embarrassed of what other people are going to say because at the end of the day, you know, as long as you're having fun, then it's good.
Exactly. And there's a lot of times those people that are trying to act tough, like, oh, I'm not scared. Oh, you're not scary. They, you know, they tell it to your face. 99% of the time, they're scared.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just you know, it's a defensive mechanism. Like it's a human nature, like to try to like deflect. Like I'm not scared. In reality, they're like terrified. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's scare acting is tough. You know, that's why we kind of train the actors too. Like, hey, we give them, you know, we tell them it's going to be fun, but, and you kind of touched on it a little bit, but it's also, you know, you have to have thick skin, you know, like there might be guests that, you know, you know, may say things to you like, hey, like you're not scary or, you know, just to kind of like, you know, ignore that and, you know, move on to the next person. It's all about, you know, teach us that Not Scary Farm. Like when you get that scare, like, you know, or if whether it's a good scare or a bad scare, you stay there for a second or two and then you move on to the next one. You never want to linger for too long. And, you know, that, I guess that would be an advice I would give to young scare actors out there is that once you get the scare, don't revel in it for too long. Whether it's good or bad, move on to the next scare and just keep going and going. Because if like, oh, that was a great scare and you're just like thinking about it for like, you know, 10 seconds, you might have a few people that come by that you're not actually like scaring. And that's the point of why we're out there. So great advice. I appreciate that. Last question for you is, what is your favorite scary movie?
Oh man, so funny. I actually really don't like scary movies, and I've always find it so funny, or found it funny because I do this every single year, and I do not like to be scared, but I go ahead and scare other people. But honestly, one of my favorite movies would be The Boy, and it's directed by William Bell, and I've honestly thought that movie is super super awesome, super great. Just the way that I can definitely see the director's point of view and just the actors. I thought they did a phenomenal job, and when I was watching it, I believe that I didn't see a trailer prior to watching it. I just watched it in the theaters. And if you've seen that movie, if you haven't seen that movie, basically it's about this doll, and there's this actual man who's actually controlling this doll, and the man lives inside the walls. And they showed the man who actually lives inside the walls at the end of the movie, and that's something that I would have never ever expected. And this man came out of this mirror wearing this boy mask, and I don't know. I mean, I've seen Conjuring. I've seen all those. What is it called? I believe it's. I'm trying to think of the word.
Like the Annabelle like that series.
Yeah, Annabelle,
okay.
Conjuring, the paranormal. I've seen all those like paranormal movies, and I mean they're great, but this specific movie, like at first I thought it was like paranormal, but then it ended up not being like this paranormal kind of movie. And for me, that was like honestly one of the biggest plot twists I've ever seen in a movie. And yeah, maybe it didn't get the best ratings, but in my head, like I definitely saw like that shift was like for me it was like this different level of like scaring, and I honestly like loved it. So I love it so much. But honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of scary movies, but if I can pick like my ultimate, it would probably be that one.
Awesome. No, I've never seen The Boy. I've heard about it before. I haven't heard anything good or bad about it. I just haven't gotten around to it, but I'll definitely add that to my list.
Yeah.
One more question, actually,
No, yeah.
and let's see if you remember this. I know this might go back for a while, but can you think of like the best scare you ever had while working at the HOH?
Oh my God, yes. So every single year I try to count up how many kids for one, I scare or make cry. And so I always get put either in the last room, the middle room, or the beginning. And
Okay.
for me, the best scare that I probably would have had, so I was specifically this character. The character's name was La Llorona, and it's like a Mexican folktale story. And for me, that was like, so I grew up in Mexico, so that was like one of the biggest fear factors that I personally like. I've always heard that story, and now that I'm actually that character, I was like, I can use this character like in so many different ways. So the way that that scene was played out, the specific room was set up in like a boat setting, and there was like an actual dock, and it was a super amazing room. And the way that I scared was, so I know how to bend backwards and walk on my hands. So that was like a really cool way that I was able to scare some students. So that specific year, I remember, I believe I crawled out of the dock, and specifically the students sat in this bench where they were able to watch like this projector. And one of the adults, they had like this little broom, so they were able to like not knock out the students on their feet, but while they were sitting, they were able to like touch their feet to almost scare them.
Okay.
And what I did was I crawled out of the dock, and I literally not screamed at their face, but screamed to like where to find my children. And I had at least, I think, like a good 4 kids like start crying, and that was the first room, and they couldn't continue the rest of the maze.
Wow.
And that was like one of my biggest scares that I personally was like, this is the best thing ever. And I think I was like maybe a sophomore in high school, I think, somewhere around there. But
was that the last room or the front beginning?
That was
room?
the beginning room.
Beginning room.
Room.
So you set the tone for them. So right away, did they keep going? Did those kids started crying and leave?
No, so some kids, so some were like 6th grade, they were a little bit younger, and then some were older. And that I believe I had a good 4 kids cry, and I believe 2 of them couldn't make it to the rest of the maze. And that specific year, because I was in the first room, there were so many scares that I got that year that kids were just not able to finish. And that was barely the first room, like not even walking into the hallway, the first room, and they were not able to make it.
That's always great. That's a big accomplishment when they can't even make it past the first room.
Mm-hmm.
because that means you're doing your job, right?
Yeah.
So that's really awesome. Well, before we go, I just want to let everyone know that although the HOH is not happening this year as currently as it was constructed before, we are going to have a different version of the HOH this year, a COVID-friendly, COVID-safe HOH. It's called the HOH Drive-Through Scavenger Hunt. What's going to happen is that you are going to be given like a location, and when you go to this location, once you sign up and buy your tickets, we're going to give you 1 of 2 routes to go through. During these routes, you're going to travel from house to house. Each house is going to have a different spooky and like festive theme in the front. I think one house is doing Ghostbusters, another house is doing Beetlejuice. So every house is doing a slightly different Halloween theme. When you go to each house, you're going to receive a clue, hence the scavenger hunt part. You're going to receive a clue, and that's going to give you a clue to where you should go to next. Once you go to the next house, you get another clue, and so on and so on. Once you've collected all the clues from your route, you're going to get access and the directions to a secret trunk and drive location. You only have access to the trunk and drive if you've gone through all of the houses already. Once you get to the trunk and drive, you're going to see a lot of different cars, all decorated in all kinds of different themes, some Halloween related, some not, but definitely for sure they're going to be all really decked out, super fun. And then for all the kids in the car, you will get a candy bag. Once you've kind of gone through the parade of the cars that are parked, you'll get a candy bag there. And we're going to have some monsters dressed up in full costume that are going to be kind of just hanging around and lurking around like the trunk and drive, not actually scaring, because we want to keep we don't want anybody to crash, but we will have the monsters kind of just walking around, and we're going to have a drive-through photo op where you be in your car the whole time, because we want to make sure everybody's safe. You'll be in your car, and the monsters will kind of just be around the car, and they'll take a picture with all the people in the car, in front of the car or near the car. So that would be super fun. We are going to be selling Lascari's Pizza. So if you're interested in purchasing that, I believe they're going to have that at the moment at the beginning of the routes. So that's something you could purchase and then eat along the way as you're going to the different houses. We're going to have raffles there. And the best part is it's all going to be done from the safety of your own car. So you won't have to get out of your car or anything like that, because we want to keep everybody as safe as possible. So if you're interested, details in the link below. You can order your tickets through Cheddar Up or through Venmo. It's $20 per car for one car, or for one night. For 2 nights, it'd be $35. So if you want to go through the 2 different routes, you would have to come back the second night. So we're looking forward to it. And I think, Alyssa, I think you might be there too, right?
I will. I will be there both nights scaring, or
awesome.
Semi-scaring.
Semi-scaring, right. So yeah, Alyssa will be there. We're looking forward to having her scare acting experience there to help out. And Alyssa, again, thank you for being here. It was awesome to hear this unique perspective of somebody that went through the program and that's still continuing to help to this day. So everyone, don't forget, if you like this video, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to this channel. Take care and happy Halloween.